gonna check that everything's working, guys. Just gotta make sure that my live is working. It's 10:30 at night for me at the moment, and I was sitting very comfortably in bed, and then I was scrolling through TikTok, and I think that I sound kind of half asleep. Yeah. My microphone working? Okay, I just gotta put my phone on charge. And we should be good because otherwise my live stream will die in the middle. And I always forget to put that on charge. Is the audio working alright? Seems to be. I'm gonna have to sit closer to the camera. Because the audio is not the best on this. Okay. So we're doing chapters 5 and 6 today. Usually we do like 2 chapters a stream. Okay. Okay. Chapter 5. I think it's like 30 odd pages we're getting through today. Should be good. Oh, knocked my camera. Of course I did. Alright. So we're highlighting and we're taking annotations today. The man has only just crumpled to the ground when a wall of white peacekeeping uniforms blocks our view. Now they're in District 11, that's where we left off, is the rebellion in District 11, and the man has done the three-finger salute. That has become like a rebellion symbol, and he's been shot by the peacekeepers for inciting rebellion. So that is what we're doing. That's where we're up to essentially in Chapter 5 of Catching Fire. Several of the soldiers have automatic weapons held lengthwise as they push us back towards the door. We're going, says Peter, shoving the peacekeeper who's pressing on me. We get it, all right? Come on, Katniss. His arm encircles me and guides me back into the Justice Building. The peacekeepers follow a pace or two behind us. The moment we're inside, the door slams shut and we hear the peacekeepers' boots moving back towards the crowd. If you're just joining us, someone's messaged, hello. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Hamish, Effie, Portia, and Senna wait under a static-filled screen that's mounted on the wall, their faces tight with anxiety. Feel free to chat in the comment section as well what you guys think of the annotations. If you guys think I should add any annotations to what I'm reading as well, would be much appreciated. You guys are also welcome to annotate along with me. I'm just reading out the novel as well as we annotate. What happened? Effie hurries over. We lost the feed just after Katniss's beautiful speech. So I'm gonna highlight this part because it's essentially what's the word? Censorship. Right. So this here is censorship. quite difficult to annotate as well, going from the capital. And then Hamish said he thought he heard a gunfire, and I said it was ridiculous, but who knows, there are lunatics everywhere. Poor Effie. She doesn't like District 11. I'm going to write that as a little annotation as well, poor Effie. She thinks it's too scary, essentially. Poor Effie. She's struggling, man. You guys are welcome to have a conversation in the comment section about what I'm annotating, what you guys think of what I'm talking about in the books as well. Nothing happened, Effie. An old truck backfired, says Peter evenly. 2 more shots. The door doesn't muffle their sound much. Who was that? Thresh's grandmother? One of Rue's little sisters? Both of you with me, says Hamish. Peter and I follow him, leaving the others behind. This scene makes so much more sense now that we have Sunrise and the Reaping as well. So we'll find out. I'm going to highlight a bit of this as well. The peacekeepers who are stationed around the Justice Building take little interest in our movements now that we are safely inside. We ascend the magnificent curved marble staircase. Staircases are used a lot in Sunrise and the Reaping as well. Staircases as a Plutarch Heavensby or a Heavensby family crest as well. At the top, there's a long hall with worn carpet on the floor. Double doors stand open, welcoming us to the first room we encounter. The ceiling must be 6 meters high. Designs of fruit and flowers are carved into moldings. Small, fat children with wings look down at us from every angle. This is religion, and Katniss not understanding religion of like our world because it looks different to our world. So she's not accustomed to like different cultural beliefs from different districts. And I'm going to write that as an annotation as well. Religion in Panem. This is a cultural, so this is also a cultural difference. Between districts. Katniss is, I'm going to say unfamiliar with. I can fit that in as an annotation. I did like myself enough for familiar with. There we go. All right. Vases of blossoms give off a cloying scent that makes my eyes itch. Our evening cloaks hang on racks against the walls. This room has been prepared for our use, but we're barely there long enough to drop off our gifts. Then Hamish yanks the microphones from our chest, stuffs them beneath a sofa cushion, and waves us on. And I'm just going to highlight this section as well because, once again, they're being spied on, they're being watched at all times. Great, great. I knocked my camera and that made me highlight the wrong thing. I'm really great at highlighting, you guys are fine. Don't mind me. Alright. I've just written down they're always being watched. Highlighting is bled through a bit, which is annoying, but we'll live. As far as I know, Hamish has only been here once, but he was on his victory tour decades ago. He must have a remarkable memory or reliable instincts because he leads us up through a maze of twisting staircases and increasingly narrow walls. The thing is, I think this is where Hamish's this is probably one of his last really clear memories, so that's probably why he remembers it so well. And I'm going to highlight pretty much much all of this because it's an indicator. It like connects to sunrise and the reaping. I also highlight a lot of things as well because I'm addicted to highlighting everything. Even though I'm really bad at actually highlighting in a straight line. Okay. This is as we know in Sunrise and the Reaping, is it Plutarch, I believe, has a conversation with Hamish saying that they just needed someone luckier. Was it Yeah, it would have been Plutarch. And he brings him here. And that's basically almost where it ends off the victory tour. It's pretty much in the last chapter. This is, and like I said before, this is probably one of Hamish's last like really clear memories. I'm gonna write that as in annotation. Oh, this is gonna mess up. He was kind of already addicted before the victory tour, but you know, before addiction. Okay, what I bring here is Hamish's conversation with Plutarch is probably one of his last clear memories before addiction, so he remembers it well. At times he has to stop and force a door by the protesting squeak of the hinges. You can tell it's been a long time since it was opened. Probably the last time was during Hamish's victory tour. Eventually, we climb a ladder to a trap door. When Hamish pushes it aside, we find ourselves in the dome of the Justice Building. It's a huge place filled with broken furniture, piles of books and ledgers and rusty weapons. The coat of dust blanketing everything is so thick, it's clear it hasn't been disturbed for years. Susan Collins definitely knew she was writing Sunrise on the Reaping. She had it planned out, and I know there's evidence that she has other books planned out somewhere in these novels. I'm gonna find it one day. Trust, guys, trust. You know, do you guys hope for another novel? What novel do you guys think is gonna happen? Like little tidbits like this that imply Sunrise on the Reaping was an idea in her head. Do you think there's something else in the books like this? There's also tidbits like there's two victors of District 12 in the first Hunger Games novel, but only one of them, who is Hamish, is named. Let me know in the comments, guys. If you think there's a potential for another novel, if there's little tidbits like this, the blanketing everything. The coat of dust blanketing everything is so thick, it's clear it hasn't been disturbed for years. Light struggles to filter in through grimy square windows set in the sides of the dome. Hamish kicks the trap door shut and turns on us. I'm gonna write like a little annotation. Collins knew she would write Sunrise and everything. What happened? He asks. Peter relates all that occurred in the square. The whistle, the salute, a hesitation on the veranda, the murder of the old man. What's going on, Hamish? It will be better coming from you, Hamish says to me. Yeah, I was lost for a second. I'm like, what is Hamish going on about? It's so late, guys. I was like, what is going on? I don't agree. I think it will be 100 times worse coming from me. But I tell Peter everything as calmly as I can about President Snow, the unrest in the districts. I don't even admit the kiss with Gale. I lay out how we are all in jeopardy, how the whole country is in jeopardy because of my trick with the berries. I was supposed to fix things on this tour, make everyone who had doubted believe I had acted out of love, calm things down. But obviously, all I've done is get 3 people killed, and now everyone in the square will be punished. I feel so sick that I have to sit down on a sofa despite the exposed springs and stuffing. Here, I'm just in this part. Katniss still feels a lot like obviously it's her fault that like Snow has manipulated her. That this is all a bad thing. Okay. Snow's manipulating Katniss into thinking a rebellion is the worst possible scenario. What was I up to? Then I made things worse too by giving the money. Says Peter. Suddenly he strikes out a lamp that sits precariously in a crate and knocks it across the room, where it shatters against the floor. This has to stop right now. This game you two play where you tell each other the secrets but keep them from me like I'm too inconsequential or stupid or weak to handle them. I imagine Peter's pain here is awful as well. What am I going to write for an annotation? I feel sorry for Peter. Of course I feel sorry for Peter. Like, I don't know. Again, you two play that I'm not too inconsequential. I'm trying to be like, what's the quote? What do I want to write down here? They're just trying to keep him safe. They're just trying to keep him safe. I feel like that's a good I think that's a good thing to say. I think that's probably a lot of what saves him at that point as well. Or when he's kidnapped by Capital at the end of Catching Fire, he actually doesn't know anything. He doesn't have the assumptions that Katniss may have because she's able to communicate without words with Haymitch because they're so alike. But yeah, means that Peter is tortured in order to be used as like a pawn against Katniss. But he doesn't have information, so he's not necessarily like killed or anything. So, let's move on. It's not like that, Peter. I begin. It's exactly like that. He yells at me. I have people I care about too, Katniss. Family and friends back in District 12 who will be just as dead as yours if we don't pull this thing off. So, after all we went through in the arena, don't I even rate the truth from you? Peter. He's really coming after Katniss. Like, go true. Thing is, the only person he like really cares about is just his I was gonna say his family, no, Katniss. Like his family, he probably does care about his family, I understand that. I also want to say badass comments. Call out, I want to say call out. There we go. You're also reliably good, Peter, says Hamish. So smart about how you present yourself before the cameras. I didn't want to disrupt that. Well, you've overestimated me because I really screwed up today. What do you think is going to happen to Will and Thresh's families? Do you think they'll get their share of their winnings? Do you think I gave them a bright future? Because I think they'll be lucky if they survive the day. Peter sends something else flying. A statue. I've never seen him like this. Scary. He really cares about people. That's the thing. Just gonna write down Peter is a lot smarter than he's given credit for. He's right, Hamish. I say we were wrong not to tell him you were back in the capital. Even in the arena, you two had some sort of system worked out, didn't you? Asked Peter. His voice is quieter now. Something I wasn't a part of. No, not officially. I just could tell what Hamish wanted me to do by what he sent or didn't send, I say. Well, I never had the opportunity because he never sent me anything until you showed up, says Peter. Oh my god. Oh my god, poor Peter. I do a little frowny face. Really wonky looking frowny face, but that'll do. That'll do, guys. So, okay. I haven't thought much about this, how it must have looked from Peter's perspective when I appeared in the arena having received burn medicine and bread when he, who was at death's door, had got nothing. Like Hamish was keeping me alive at his expense. Look, boy, Hamish begins. Don't bother, Hamish. I know you had to choose one of us, and I'd have wanted it to be her, but this is something different. People are dead out there. More will follow unless we're very good. I'm more than very good, Peter. What do you want about? We all know I'm better than Katniss in front of the cameras. No one needs to coach me on what to say, but I have to know what I'm walking into, says Peter. From now on, you'll be fully informed, Hamish promises. I better be, says Peter. He doesn't even bother to look at me before he leaves. The dust he disrupted billows up and looks for new places to land. My hair, my eyes, my shiny gold pin. Is this them like I'm trying to like, it feels almost like a metaphor in a way, this here. Is this a way to describe the disruption in their relationship, that they have to find a new way to act? I'm gonna write that down as an annotation. This is this is representative of their relationship. Katniss and Peter's relationship has been disrupted, and they have to find a new dynamic. Kind of a new dynamic in front of the cameras, especially. Did you choose me? Hamish asks. Yeah, he says. Why? You like him better, I say. That's true. But remember, until they change the rules, I can only hope to get one of you right up there alive, he says. I thought, since he was determined to protect you, well, between the three of us, we might be able to bring you home. I want my annotation here to be like stop. It's not Hamish, it's not. Oh, is all I can think to say. You'll see the choices you'll have to make if we survive this, says Hamish. You'll learn. Ooh, Hamish being a mentor to Katniss. And he really knows from experience. I'm sure Suzanne Collins really mapped out the whole of Hamish's games before even writing this novel to really like show people. Or so she wasn't going into this blind, so she could like add little tidbits about his games in this novel, so she could like, I guess, foreshadow it, and it felt more it wasn't surface level essentially, so it wouldn't be surface level. Yeah, that's what I mean. Great. Well, I've learned one thing today. This place is not a larger version of District 12. Our fence is unguarded and rarely charged. Our peacekeepers are unwelcome but less brutal. Our hardships evoke more fatigue than fury. Here in 11, they suffer more acutely and feel more desperation. President Snow's right, a spark could be enough to set them ablaze. I'm going to highlight this part here. I'm going to write down the spark has already lit a fire. Spark has already lit a fire. Amazing. Like that connotation. Everything is happening too fast for me to process. The warning, the shootings, the recognition that I may have set something of great consequence in motion. The commenter, hi, I find your lives so interesting. Love it. Well, thank you for watching. Really appreciate everyone who watches my live streams. The whole thing is so improbable, and it would be one thing if I had planned to stir things up, but given the circumstances, how on earth did I cause so much trouble? Katniss, most clueless person ever. So clueless. So right there. Come on, we've got a dinner to attend, says Hamish. I stayed in the shower as long as they let me before I have to come out to be readied. The prep team seems oblivious to the events of the day. I want to highlight that as well, how naive the prep team are. I'm always running out of room when I'm writing these annotations. So much of the capital is blissfully ignorant when the issue is right in front of them. They're really excited about the dinner. In the districts, they're important enough to attend, whereas back in the capital, they almost never saw invitations to prestigious parties. While they try to predict what dishes will be served, I keep seeing the old man's head being blown off. I don't even pay attention to what anyone is doing to me until I'm about to leave and see myself in the mirror. A pale pink strapless dress brushes my shoes. My hair is pinned back from my face and fallen down my back in a shower of ringlets. Hello to everyone who's just joining. Let me know your thoughts on my annotations as I'm going through them. Have a little conversation about the book as I'm going as well. Tell me about maybe your thoughts on the trailer, even at the moment, since that just came out. Cinna comes up behind me and arranges a shimmering silver wrap around my shoulders. He catches my eye in the mirror. Like it? It's beautiful, as always, I say. Let's see how it looks with a smile, he says gently. It's his reminder that, in a minute, there will be cameras again. I manage to raise the corners of my lips. There we go. I want to highlight this part and just write an annotation of this being their way of communicating. It's a little bit different to how Katniss communicates with Haymitch, because Cinna does use his words, unlike Haymitch, but Cinna asks Katniss to read in between the lines. I'm writing that down as an annotation now because I thought it would be good to add. Cinna asks Katniss to read between the lines when they talk. There we go. Oh, not the camera accident. When we assemble to go down to dinner, I can see Effie is out of sorts. Surely, Haymitch hasn't told her about what happened in the square. I wouldn't be surprised if Cinna, of course, should know, but there seems to be an unspoken agreement to leave Effie out of that news loop. It doesn't take long to hear about the problem, though. Effie runs through the evening schedule, then tosses it aside. And then, thank goodness, we can all get on that train and get out of here, she says. Is something wrong, Effie? Asked Cinna. I don't like the way we've been treated, being stuffed into trucks and barred from the platform. And then, about an hour ago, I decided to look around the Justice Building. I'm something of an expert in architectural design, you know, she says. Oh my god, wait, in Sunrise on the Reaping. Is that what she went into? She went into something that wasn't to do with what she ended, how she ended up being an District 12 escort. There's a question in the comment section. Do I have a process for annotating, or is it just a feeling? Well, it's the way in which I analyze the text. Like sometimes there are things that you write down that is a deeper analysis of the text. I'm trying to find an example. I highlight things that I find important and want to emphasize. Like maybe I just like the line, or I like something that was said in particular, the way that Suzanne Collins wrote it. I think that maybe it's something I want to be drawn to when I go back and read through it, and I'm gonna add in like sticky notes during like another read through. Um, like this here. Peter is apologizing to Katniss for the way he like basically ghosted Katniss for 6 months, and he's basically, yeah, he's apologizing for it. They're making up, they're being friends. The apology allows Katniss more space to learn about her feelings for Peter, and it essentially draws me back to the idea of analyzing Katniss and Peter's relationship specifically. So I can write down annotations like that, or I wrote down before, Katniss just so clueless. That's me being like, just shaking my head at the text, like, Katniss, why are you doing that? What are you doing, Katniss? Smart. Or Peter's, either my reaction or something that I want to be drawn to later during a reread, and to emphasize the point. So it can really be anything. It really just depends on, like, if you're annotating, it really depends on how you read books, whether you want to analyze it, maybe you just want to highlight like certain lines that really stand out to you. But this is just how I'm annotating my novels. I'm literally still learning how to annotate novels. The Hunger Games, the first Hunger Games novel, is the very first novel that I ever properly annotated. Like I've taken notes about novels before, but I never properly annotated one. So I'm still learning. I'm still going through the process, figuring it out as I go. But yeah, that's basically what I do. So let's get back into reading. When we all assemble, hang on. Was I going on to the new? Yes, I was. I don't like the way we've been treated, being stuffed into trucks and barred from the platform. And then about an hour ago, I decided to take a look around the Justice Building. I'm something of an expert in architectural design, you know. Everyone's supposed to go into something different. And I don't remember what it was in Sunrise and everything. They mentioned it, that she was doing something different, and then her sister called her in to help her out, and she helps. I don't remember what it was. But I'm highlighting it, so it's important. Um, this wasn't Effie's original career choice. I think this is another indicator of how Suzanne Collins definitely knew she was going to write Sunrise on the Reaping eventually. She just didn't do it for a long time. I have this whole idea that I'm pretty sure that the prequels are supposed to be a duology, and she wrote Sunrise on the Reaping first, and then went, oh, we don't have enough context. Then wrote Songbirds and Snakes, released that first, then went to release Sunrise, and then release Sunrise on the Reaping. Doesn't mean there won't be more books, but I think that these two prequels are a duology specifically. This wasn't Effie's first. I keep getting distracted. Career choice. There we go. Oh yes, I heard that, says Portia before the pause gets too long. Poor Effie, always ignored. So I was just having a peek around because District Ruins are going to be all the rage this year. That is That's quite odd. Capital people. What the hell? When two peacemakers, not peacekeepers, interesting, showed up and ordered me back to our quarters, one of them actually poked me with her gun, says Effie. And capital trends. I can't help thinking that this is the direct result of Hamish, Peter, and me disappearing earlier in the day. It's a little reassuring, actually, to think that Hamish might have been right. That no one would have been monitoring the Justin Tone where we talked, although I bet they are now. Effie looks so distressed, I spontaneously give her a hug. That's awful, Effie. Maybe we shouldn't go to the dinner at all, at least until they've apologized. I know she'll never agree to this, but she brightens considerably at the suggestion, at the validation of her complaint. I want to highlight this last part as well. It's a lot of Effie's characterization and Candace's empathy towards all people, not just the, I don't want to say like oppressed, but like there are a lot of privileged people in the capital, but they are oppressed in some ways. Like they don't have freedom. Like Plutarch doesn't have freedom, which is something he mentions quite a bit. That's why he joined the rebellion. So I'm going to write down here Effie's characterization. And this showcases kindnesses. I want to say not empathy, and I know she's like exaggerating a bit, but she does understand Effie. She takes time to understand her and thoughtfulness towards everyone. District and capital. Just want to separate that as two different annotations. No, I'll manage. It's part of my job to weather the ups and downs. And we can't let you two miss your dinner, she says, but thank you for the offer, Katniss. Effie arranges us in formation for our entrance. First prep teams, then her, the stylist, Hamish. Peter and I, of course, bring up the rear. Somewhere below, musicians begin to play. As the first wave of a little procession begins down the steps, Peter and I join hands. Hamish says I was wrong to yell at you. You were only operating under his instructions, says Peter. And it isn't as if I haven't kept things from you in the past. I remember the shock of hearing Peter confess his love for me in front of all of Panam. Hamish had known about that and not told me. I think I broke a few things myself after that interview. Just an urn, he says, and your hands. There's no point to it anymore. That was not being straight with each other, I say. No point, says Peter. We stand at the top of the stairs, giving Hamish a 15-step lead, as if he directed. Was that really the only time you kissed Gale? I bet Peter was crushed by that man. Real crushed. I'm so startled to answer yes, with all that has happened today. Has that question actually been preying on him? I wouldn't say it's necessarily like every time I think about like Katniss's relationship with Gale and Peter, Katniss wasn't in a relationship with Peter, especially at that point. They weren't exactly talking either. Um, Not to defend like Gail's actions, but it wasn't all Candace's because she does like go back and forth between Gail and Peter, but she's not like cheating on him. It's like it's a betrayal to Peter, but like, it's not a betrayal to Peter, but it is hurtful. And I'm just gonna say that Peter was okay. Peter was crush. I'm gonna write here as well. I like their honesty. How honest they are becoming. Each other. They're building trust. That's 15. Let's do it. He says, a light hits us. I put on the most dazzling smile I can. We descend the steps and are sucked into what becomes an indistinguishable round of dinners, ceremonies, and train rides. We're almost done with this chapter. Making pretty good time this string. Each day it's the same. Wake up, get dressed, ride through cheering crowds, listen to a speech in our honor, give a thank you speech in return, but only the one the capital gave us. Never any personal additions now. I'm going to highlight that. Censorship, again. Sometimes a brief tour, a glimpse of the sea in one district, District 4, towering forests in another, District 7, ugly factories, District 8, fields of wheat would be District 9? Possibly District 9? Stinking refineries. Refineries, which one's that? I don't know. Someone else remind me. Dress in evening clothes, attend dinner, train. I'm gonna write this here. Censorship. During ceremonies, we are solemn and respectful, but always live together. By our hands, our arms. At dinners, we are borderline delirious in our love for each other. We kiss, we dance, we get caught trying to sneak away to be alone. On the train, we are quietly miserable as we try to assess what effect we might be having. I want to highlight this one. My true feelings. Even without our personal speeches to true descent, needless to say, the ones we gave in District 11 were edited out before the event was broadcast. You can feel something in the air, the rolling boil of a pot about to run over. I'm gonna write this down. And I'm gonna write down there was a 5-minute delay. Edits like in Sunrise on the Reaping. very cattle feel. And I know District 12 usually projects at the victor's ceremonies. But in others, particularly 8, 4, and 3, there is genuine elation in the faces of the people of the sign plus, and under the elation, fury. When they chant my name, it is more of a cry for vengeance than a cheer. When the peacekeepers move into quiet and unruly crowd, it presses back instead of retreating. And I know that there's nothing I could ever do to change this. She knew deep down. No show of love, however believable, will turn this tide. If my holding out those bows were an act of temporary insanity, then these people will embrace insanity too. Senna begins taking my clothes around the waist. The prep team frets over the circles under my eyes. Effie starts giving me pills to sleep, but they don't work. Not well enough. Oh, this is the one where this is the part where Peter's always in the what was I trying to thought with that? This is where Peter essentially keeps Katniss safe from the nightmares. I drift up finally reroutes my nightmares that have increased in number and intensity. Shall I highlight half the page because I like it so much? I think that yes. Peter, who spent much of the time roaming the train, hears me screaming as I struggle to break out of the haze of drugs that nearly prolong the horrible dreams. He managed to wake me and calm me down. This is so damn cute. Well, actually, the fact that she's having nightmares and PTSD. Not great, not cute, but you guys know what I mean. I'm just saying, Peterson was a Hamish in this way that he spent most of his time roaming the train. Then he climbs into bed to hold me until I fall back to sleep. After that, I refuse the pills. But every night, I let him into my bed and he managed the darkness as we did the kneeling out, wrapped in each other's arms, guarding against dangers that could descend at any moment. Nothing else happens. But our arrangement quickly becomes a subject of gossip on the train. And if he brings it up to me, I think, good. Do you know what, guys? I am going to highlight this for like half of this page because I think that I like this paragraph and I like the relationship here, and I'm going to do whatever I want with this book because this is my book. I need to start making comments on how much I highlight every single string because it's going to happen anyway. Maybe it'll get back to President Snow. I tell her we'll make an effort to be more discreet, but we won't. The back-to-back appearances in 2 and 1 are their own special kind of awful. Kate and Clove, the tributes from District 2, might have both made home with Peter and I hadn't. I personally killed the girl, Glimmer, and the boy from District 1. As I try to avoid looking at his family, I learned that his name was Marvel. How did I never know that? I suppose that before the games I didn't pay attention, and afterwards I didn't want to know. That's a whole lot of trauma right there, Katniss. By the time we reach the capital, we are desperate. We make endless appearances to adoring crowds. There is no danger of an uprising here among the privileged, among those whose names are never placed in the reaping bowls, whose children never die for the supposed crimes committed generations ago. We don't need to convince anybody in the capital of our love, but hold on to the slim hope that we can still reach some of those we failed to convince in the districts. What little, whatever we do seems too little. Too late. For emphasis. Back in our old quarters in the training center, I'm the one who suggests the public marriage proposal. Katniss. Peter agrees to do it, but then disappears to his room for a long time. Hamish tells me to leave him alone. I thought he wanted it anyway, I say. Not like this, Hamish says. He wanted it to be real. Real or not real? Oh, I'm just gonna highlight this whole thing. Katniss. Katniss. I'm disappointed. Have some, just take some social cues. Okay, social cues. I wrote down there. I'll highlight this part as well. Not like this. You wanted it to be real, and I'm gonna write down real or not real. Like Mockingjay. I go back to my room and lie under the covers, trying to think of Gale and thinking of nothing else. Candace just doesn't have the ability to question her feelings, which is very sad. I highlight this as well because this is her relationship with Gale at this point. That night on the stage before the training center, we bubble our way through a list of questions. He's a flickerman in his twinkling midnight blue suit, his hair, eyelids, and lips still dyed powder blue, flawlessly guide us through the interview. When he asks us about the future, Peter gets down on one knee, pulls out his heart, and begs me to marry him. I, of course, accept. Caesar is beside himself. The capital audience is hysterical. Shots of crowds around town, the show country, besotted with happiness. President Snow himself makes a surprise visit to congratulate us. He clasps Peter's hand and gives him a approving slap on the shoulder. He embraces me, enfolding me in the smell of blood and roses, and plants a puffy kiss on my cheek. When he pulls back, his fingers digging into my arms, his face smiling into mine. I've never noticed that before. I dare to raise my eyebrows. His fingers digging into my arms. That's insane. That's crazy. The man is like stressed about losing his power. Fuck this guy, to be honest. They ask what my lips can't. Did I do it? Wasn't enough. Was giving everything over to you, keeping up the game, promising to marry Peter. Enough. In answer, he gives an almost imperceptible shake of his head. I think this is important. Was giving everything over to you. allies gives her up her ability to choose in order to survive, thus remaining oppressed. All right, chapter 6. I think this is, 11 pages long. 10 pages and then plus 17 pages long. That's how I do math in my head, guys. I just had to say that because it's late. In that one slide motion, I see the end of hope, the beginning of the destruction of everything that holds dear in the world. Well, the beginning of that chapter. That's crazy. That's a crazy line to put on. I can't guess what form my punishment will take, how wide the net will be cast, but when it is finished, there will most likely be nothing left. So you would think that at this moment I would be in utter despair. Is what's strange. The main thing I feel is a sense of relief. I'm going to highlight that as well. That I can give up this game. That the question of whether I can see it in this bench has been answered, even if that answer is a resounding no. That if desperate times call for desperate measures, then I am free to act as desperately as I wish. What I've written here is nothing will ever be good enough under oppression. So Katniss can finally be free. Only not here, not quite yet. It's essential to get back to District 12 because the main part of any plan will include my mother and sister, Gale, and his family. And Peter, if I can get him to come with us. I added Hamish to the list. These are the people I must take with me when I escape into the wild. Katniss! That is very desperate, isn't it? How I will convince them where we will go in the dead of winter, what it will take to evade capture or unanswered questions. But at least now I know what I must do. Just like Lucy Gray, I'm sure Snow knew this as well. So instead of crumbling to the ground and weeping, I find myself standing up straighter with more confidence than I have in weeks. My smile, while somewhat insane, is not forced. And when President Snow silences the audience and says, "What do you think about us throwing them a wedding right here in the Capitol?" I pull off Go almost catatonic with joy, without a hitch. Caesar Flickerman asks if the president has a date in mind. We better set a date. Before we set a date, we better clear it with Katniss's mother, says the president. The audience gives a big laugh, and the president puts his arm around me. Maybe if the whole country puts its mind to it, we can get you married before you're 30. Hello, everyone who's just joining. We're annotating chapter 6 at the moment of Catching Fire. Super fun. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts of the trailer specifically. I would love to know that. Since we're talking about Catching Fire, and Catching Fire, it's all about the Quarter Quill and also Hamish's games. You'll probably have to pass a new law, I say with a giggle. If that's what it takes as the president with conspiratorial good humor. Oh, be fun. We two have together. I just want to highlight that for emphasis. The party, held in the banquet room of President Snow's mansion, has no equal. The 12-meter ceiling has transformed into the night sky, and the stars look exactly as they do at home. Wow, that's crazy, actually, how the president's mansion is set out. It's insane. Oh, 1 second, guys. I'm gonna put my laptop on charge. I'm just watching my stream from there to make sure it is all going well. Streaming really takes all the battery out of my devices. I'm gonna highlight this. That's huge. That's a crazy amount of wealth. I suppose they look the same from the capital, but who would know? There's always too much light from the city to see the stars here. But halfway between the floor and the ceiling, musicians float on what will look like fluffy white clouds. That's insane. I'm gonna highlight this, but I can't see what holds them aloft. I want to highlight this because it's like the crazy dystopian technology. I don't know if it's even like dystopian technology because they very well could be hiding like the wires that hold them up, and we could easily do stuff like that now. But it's just the extravagance of the capital right here. And I just think that I love the description of what's going on and how insane it is. Traditional dining tables have been replaced by innumerable stuffed sofas and chairs. Some surrounding fireplaces, others beside fragrant flower gardens or ponds filled with exotic fish, so that people can eat and drink into whatever they please in the utmost comfort. There's a large tiled area in the center of the room that serves as everything from a dance floor to a stage for the performers who come and go into another spot to mingle with flamboyantly dressed guests. I'm gonna highlight all of this. I don't think we get to see the true nature of the extravagance of celebrating in the capital, from the perspective of being inside the capital, because we only see celebrations from a distance in the Hunger Games. Like we see the night before the games, Peter points out that they're celebrating. There's a celebration for them right before the Hunger Games. Like people are celebrating the Hunger Games starting and all that. Like the eve before the Hunger Games, we see it from afar. We see the tribute parade and the celebrations they have for that. But we don't see them pulling out everything in the capital until just now. How do you spell extravagance? I think that's it. Capital extravagance. This is the first time we see it. the real star of the evening is the food, and we've been highlighting this. I'm gonna end up highlighting this whole thing, guys, because this whole page. We've been highlighting in the Hunger Games and the rest of Catching Fire every time I mention food, because the Hunger Games has multiple meanings in as like the title and with all the themes. One of them is like poverty and starvation, and food is always talked about in throughout the entirety of the series. Tables laden with delicacies line the walls. Everything you can think. Oh my god! You know what I? Hang on. Everything you can think of are things you could never dream of. Wine. The thing that just occurred to me, I've always imagined it as like long tables, like a buffet of food, line the walls. Are they on shelves? Like, are they shelves like all the way at the back walls, and they're like lined up on the walls that you can just pick from the walls instead of like the food isn't in the way, and you can just take it from the wall from wherever. Unless it's like directly sat against the wall, but I feel like she'd say that. But that's an interesting way to see it. Tables laden with delicacies. Maybe I was completely wrong because I'm dumb. That's fine. But I'm imagining balls all of a sudden. Hang on, where was I up to? Lying late. I'm highlighting all of this page. I'm sorry, guys. Whole roasted cows and pigs and goats still turn on spits, huge piles of fowl stuffed with savory fruits and nuts, ocean creatures drizzled in sauces or begging to be dipped in spicy concoctions, callous cheeses, breads, vegetables, sweets, waterfalls of wine and streams of spirits that flicker with flames. My appetite has returned with my desire to fight back. After weeks of feeling too hard to eat, I'm famished. Like I said, the Hunger Games has multiple meanings. The ability to eat and not starve is a form of rebellion. I want to taste everything in the room, I tell Peter. I can see him trying to read my expression to figure out my transformation. Since he doesn't know that President Smoking I failed, he can only assume that I think we have succeeded. Perhaps even that I have some genuine happiness in our engagement. His eyes reflect his puzzlement only briefly. Because we're on camera. Then you'd better pace yourself, he says. Okay, no more than one bite of each dish, I say. My resolve is almost immediately broken at the first table, which is 20 or so soups. Can you imagine just taking one bite of like I couldn't do it. I don't have enough self control for that. When I encounter a creamy pumpkin brew sprinkled with slivered nuts and thyme black seeds. I just eat this all night, I explain, but I don't. A weekend again at a clear green broth that I can only describe as tasting like springtime. And again when I try a frothy pink soup dusted with raspberries. That is making me hungry. Chemist Suzanne Collins. So I don't even like soup. And yet here I am, hungry at the thought of soup. Because described so well by Suzanne Collins. I'm literally gonna write that down when I get home and I'm hungry and I don't even like soup. Because this is my novel, I'm writing whatever I want. Look at how much I've highlighted. I'm really good at this. I'm really good at this, guys. With a comment, hi, I'm just joining what chapter is this? This is chapter 6 of Catching Fire. We're up to the place where they're partying in the capital and celebrating at the end of the victor's tour. With or at the president's mansion. Essentially, Snow has said to Katniss, or like shook his head at Katniss, saying that she failed. So she's eating all the food laid out on the tables. Faces appear, names are exchanged, pictures taken, kisses brushed on cheeks. Apparently, my Mockingjay pin has spawned a new fashion sensation. I'm going to highlight that as well, because that's important for the Mockingjay's rebellion symbol. Pin has spawned a new fashion sensation. I'm writing down, I bet Snow hates that. Because several people come up to show me their accessories. My bird has been replicated on belt buckles, embroidered in silk lapels, even tattooed in intimate places, and they're showing that to them. Everyone wants to wear the winter's token, or the winner's token, not the winter's token. You know what I meant. I can only imagine how nuts that makes President Snow. But what can you do? The games were such a hit here, where the berries were only a symbol of desperate girl trying to save her lover. Peter and I make no effort to find company, but are constantly sought out. Yeah. When no one wants to miss at the party, I act delighted, but I have zero interest in these capital people. They're only distractions from the food. Real. I'm gonna write that down. Every table presents new temptations, and even my restricted one-taste British regimen, I begin filling up quickly. Pick up a small roasted bird, bite into it, and my tongue floods with orange sauce. Delicious. I have to highlight this. I'm highlighting everything to do with food in this, so I have to highlight a heap about this food. And they're coming up to that like drink that makes you throw up. Capital people, how disgusting. But I make Peter eat the remainder because I want to keep tasting things, and the idea of throwing away food, as I see so many people doing so casually, is abhorrent to me. After about 10 tables, I'm stuffed, and we've only sampled a small number of dishes available, which is crazy. Just the thought of Peter getting like an enormous amount of food after Candace has taken one bite, and Peter's expected to eat like everything else. Like Peter is expected to eat a lot more food than Candace, which is extremely funny. just running down, so Katniss takes one bite of every dish, and Peter's expected to eat the rest. He must be struggling. It's hilarious. Just when my prep seeing descends on us, they're nearly incoherent between the alcohol they consumed and their ecstasy and being at such a grand fat. Why aren't you eating? Asked Octavia. I have been, but I can't hold another bite, I say. They laugh as if that's the silliest thing they've ever heard. No one lets that stop them. It's obvious. Then they just over to a table that holds tiny scented wine glasses filled with clear liquid. Drink this. Peter picks one up to take a sip and they lose it. Not here, shrieks Octavia. You have to do it in there, says Peter, pointing at the doors that lead to the toilets. Oh, yeah, no, like the floor. Peter looks at the glass again and puts it together. You mean this will make me puke? My prep team laughs hysterically. Of course, so that we can keep eating, says Octavia. I've been in there twice already. Everyone does it. Or else how would you have any fun at a feast? Disgusting. I highlight this part of the conversation. It's still about food here as well. Man. Awful. I'm speechless, staring at the pretty little glasses and all they imply. Peter sets his back on the table with such precision that you think it might detonate. Come on, Katniss, let's dance. Music fills the filters down from the clouds as he leads me away from the tea table and out onto the floor. We only know a few dances at home that kind of go with a fiddle and a flute music and require a good deal of space. The culture of District 12 right here. All right. But Effie's shown us some that are popular in the capital. The music's slow and dreamlike. So Peter pulls me into his arms and we move in a circle with practically no stops at all. You should do this dance on a pie plate, a pipe for a bar. Peter speaks in a strange voice. You go along thinking you can deal with it, thinking maybe they're not so bad, and then you cut himself off. Once again, the double meaning of the Hunger Games. That's, well, we have food and a press. All I can think of is the emaciated bodies of the children on our kitchen table as my mother prescribes when the parents can't get more food. Now that we're rich, she'll send some home with them, but often in the old days when there was nothing to give and the child was past saving anything. Here in the capital, they're vomiting for the pleasure of filling their bellies again and again. Not from some illness of body or mind, not from spoiled food. It's what everyone does at a party, expected. Kind of fun. I'm going to highlight all of this. write an annotation as a part of this. Another meaning of the Hunger Games. Buffy, Howard resources. Another meaning of the Hunger Games, the wealthy hoard resources, ensuring the oppressed remain underneath them. One day when I dropped by to give Hazel the game, Vic was homesick with a bad cough. Being part of Gail's family, the kid has to eat better than 90% of the rest of the District 12. But he still spent about 15 minutes talking about how they'd open a can of corn syrup for parcel day and each had a spoonful of bread. We're going to maybe have more later in the week. That makes me really sad, actually. I want to highlight all of this because now I'm sad. And me just highlighting all of the pages is fine. Now, Hazel had said he could have a bit in a cup of tea to soothe his cough, but he wouldn't feel right unless the others had some too. If it's like that at Gales, what's it like in other houses? Much worse. I write that down as an annotation. Plutarch shows up in a minute as well. Peter, they bring us here to fight to the death for their entertainment. I say, really, this is nothing by comparison. I know. It's just sometimes I can't stand it anymore to the point where I'm not sure what I'll do. He pauses and whispers. Maybe we were wrong, Katniss. About what I ask? About trying to subdue things in the district, he says. Peter is actually very. It's actually very conscious of. Do I want to say politics? I don't know. Yeah, I think I want to say politics. And a potential rebellion. I'm gonna highlight some of this as well. Honestly, all of it. I had turned swiftly from side to side, but no one seems to come. Peter, out in public, why would you say something like that? You get yourself killed or your family. Camera crew got sidetracked at a table of shellfish and a couple dancing around. As are either too drunk or too self-involved. Notice. Sorry, he says. He should be. There is no place to be. This is no place to be voicing such thoughts. Save it for home, I tell him. Dangerous, no freedom of speech anywhere. Just then, Portia appears with a large man who looks vaguely familiar. This is one of the things I love about this section of the novel. We're about to find out why he's vaguely familiar. She introduces him as Plutarch. Welcome to the narrative, Plutarch. Plutarch happens to be the new head game maker. Plutarch asks Peter if he can steal me for a dance. Peter's recovered his camera face and good-naturedly passes me over, warning the man not to get too attached. Obviously, that's his fiance's affianced. I don't want to dance with Plutarch Heavensby. I don't want to feel his hands when resting against mine, one on my hip. I'm not used to being touched except by Peter or my family. And I read game makers, someone to learn maggots and tend the creatures I want in contact with my skin. So bad. But he seems to sense this and holds me at arm's length as we turn on the floor. We chit-chat about the party, about the entertainment, about the food, and then he makes a joke about avoiding punch since training. I don't get it. And then I realize he's the man who tripped backwards into the punch bowl when I shot an arrow at the game because during the training session. That's one of the things I wish they didn't omit from the movies because that would have been so funny. Yeah, they couldn't have added him because they hadn't cast Philip Seymour Hoffman yet, and it would have been too expensive to get him in for just one scene in the first movie. But I wish it was in the movies because it would have been so funny to have that conversation in the book. Well, not really. I was shooting an apple out of their roast pig's mouth, and I made them jump. Oh, you're the one who I laugh remembering him splashing back into the punch bowl. Yes, and you'll be pleased to know I've never recovered since Plutarch. I want to point out the 22 dead tributes I want to point out that 22 dead tributes will never recover from the games he helped create either. But I only say good. See the head game maker this year? That must be a big honor. Between you and me, there weren't many takers for the job, he says. So much responsibility as to how the games turn out. Yeah, the last guy's dead, I think. He doesn't know about Seneca Crane, but he doesn't look the least bit concerned. Are you planning the quarter 12 games already, I say? Oh yes, well they've been in the works for years. I spoke about this. And the video is not released yet, I don't think, but the other day when I was recording a debunking video, you'll see it in a few weeks, that what I talk about is the quarter quell and how they've been planned, and that the arena is likely planned for a different twist to the games. And there's one commenter who thinks they know what it was planned for, but I won't spoil it for you guys because it's very interesting. It's very interesting idea of what they think the twist was supposed to be before Katniss pulled her stunt in the games. Arenas aren't built in a day, but the, shall we say, flavor of the games is being determined now. Believe it or not, I've got a strategy meeting tonight. just replicating how the games are produced to become entertainment. Ozark slips back and pulls out a gold watch on a chain from her vest pockets. This is where the Mockingjay is. He flips open the lid, sees the time, and frowns. I'll have to be going soon. He turns the watch so I can see the face. It starts at midnight. A clue for the arena. Gold jewelry means he's an ally. Smudge that. Great. Good job, me. Which later on, as we know, that gold jewelry becomes a whole thing to the alliance and eventually the rebellion. With Finnick holding out Hamish's gold bangle. That seems late for what I say, but then something distracts me. Plutarch has run his thumb across the face of the watch, and just for a moment, an image appears, lines up lit by candlelight. It's another Mockingjay. Exactly like the pin on my dress. And when this swan disappears, snaps the watch closed. I'm gonna say something about the Mockingjay being a rebellion symbol. The greatest indication Plutarch is a part of the rebellion. Moving on to the next page. And we have a few pages to go. It's very pretty, I say. Oh, it's more than pretty. It's one of a kind, he says. If anyone asks about me, say I've fallen home to bed. The meetings are supposed to be kept a secret, but I thought it'd be safe to tell you. It's kind of an indication that Katniss here is the only person that can pull off the rebellion. Whatever here is a secretive ways, and Katniss is the only one lucky enough to be the face of the rebellion. Yes, your secret's safe with me, I say. As we shake hands, he gives a small bow, a common gesture here in the capital. Well, I'll see you next summer in the games, Katniss. Best wishes on your engagement and good luck with your mother. I'll need it, I say. Plutarch disappears, and I wander through the crowd, looking for Peter. As strangers congratulate me on my engagement, on my victory at the games, on my choice of lipstick. I respond about really I'm thinking about Plutarch showing off his pretty one of a kind. I'm just gonna highlight on my logo. I stopped talking in the middle of the sentence, my bad. I respond about really I'm thinking about Plutarch showing off his pretty one of a kind watch to me. There was something strange about it, almost clandestine. Why? Maybe he thinks someone else will steal his idea of putting a disappearing Mockingjay on a watch face. Yes. He probably paid a fortune for it and now he can't show it to anyone because he's afraid someone will make a cheap knockoff version. Only in the capital. Damn. Candace, once again, so freaking clueless. Over here at this point, Candace is purposely being clueless. I find Peter admiring a table of elaborately decorated cakes. Bakers have come in from the kitchen, especially to talk frosting with him, and you can see them tripping over one another to answer his questions. At his request, they assemble an assortment of little cakes for him to take back to District 12, where he can examine their work in quiet. That's very cute, actually. It's just like a little hobby or like a talent that, as they call it in the Hunger Games, that Peter has, and they're so they admire maybe they is admire the word. They're so attached to the victors that it's important to them that Peter approves of their baked goods. Effie said we have to be on the train at 1. I wonder what time it is, he says, glancing around. It's almost midnight, I reply. I pluck a chocolate flower from a cake with my fingers and nibble on it, so beyond worrying about manners. Just written down, Effie would not approve because she's beyond worrying about manners. She's had a night, man. She's had a day. She's had a lifetime. Time to say thank you and farewell, trills Effie at my elbow. It's one of those moments when I just love the compulsive punctuality. I love that term right there, compulsive. Compulsive punctuality. We collect Senna and Portia, and she escorts us around to say goodbye to important people, then heads us to the door. Should we thank President Snow? Asks Peter. It's his house. Oh, he's not a big one for parties. Too busy, he says. I've already arranged for the necessary notes and gifts to be sent to him tomorrow. There you are. Effie gives a little wave to two capital attendants who have an inebriated Hamish propped up between them. Hamish? Damn. We travel through the streets of the capital in a car with darkened windows. Behind us, another car brings the prep teams. The throngs of people celebrating us. I think it's slow going, but I think we have this all down to a science. And at exactly 1 o'clock, we are back on the train, and it's pulling out of the station. Wow, Effie's crazy. Compulsive punctuality, definitely. Hello, everyone joining the stream. Hamish is deposited in his room. We're up to chapter 6, by the way, of Catching Fire. If you guys want to read along and discuss Catching Fire in the comments, or even discuss the Sunrise and the Reaping trailer. Cinna orders tea, and we all take seats around the table while Effie rattles her schedule papers and reminds us we're still on tour. There's a harvest festival in District 12 to think about, so I suggest we drink our tea and head straight to bed. No one argues. I'm going to highlight tea because I think that's still a part of the food as well in this. When I open my eyes, it's early afternoon. My head rests on Peter's arm. I don't remember him coming in last night. I turned, being careful not to disturb him, but he's already awake. No nightmares, he says. What? I asked. You didn't have any nightmares last night, he says. He's right. For the first time in ages, I've slept through the night. I had a dream, though, I say, thinking back. I was following a mockingjay through the woods for a long time. It was rude, really. I mean, when it sang, it had her voice. That's so sweet. It's sad, man. Where did she take you? Yeah, I was brushing my hair off my forehead. That's so cute. Oh my god, the way they interact. Anyway, I don't know. We never arrived, I say. But I felt happy. Well, you spoke like you were happy, he said. I love their relationship so much. I love their dynamic. Yeah, how come I never know when you're having a nightmare? This is depressing. You guys know if you're watching, you probably read Catching Fire. What's coming? It's so sad. I don't know. I don't think I cry out or thrash around or anything. I just go to paralyzed with terror. You should wake me, I say, thinking about how I can interrupt his sleep 2 or 3 times on a bad night. About how long it takes to calm me down. It's not necessary. My nightmares are usually about losing you, he says. I'm okay once I realize you're here. I find it immediately. What the hell, Peter? Always so. Look at this. Ugh. Peter makes comments like this in such an offhand way, and it's like being hit in the gut. Poor Candace. And this is something I'm going to write down, something I've seen people mention in the past about this. And Peter spent 6 months alone with those nightmares. He lives alone. He doesn't interact with the cat as much for quite some time. And I barely speaks to her for like 6 months because he's so bad. But he still, what I assume, I assume he's still having those nightmares anyway. And he really did lose Candace for a long time in those 6 months. He's only answering my question honestly. I want to highlight that part as well, because he's being honest. He's not pressing me to reply in kind to make any declaration of love. Oh my god. See, Peter doesn't. Candace realizes Peter's not pressuring her into anything. It's like society that pressures them together. Gail, on the other hand, does pressure Candace, and she mentions how stressed it makes her all the time. I write an annotation about this one, I'm thinking. I studied this chapter as well. James not spell reciprocate. Where is it? I could have spelled that out on my own, definitely. Candace never feels pressure to reciprocate Peter's feelings, but does feel bad that she can't figure out how she truly feels about him. So sad. Poor Peter. I still feel awful as if I've been using him in some terrible way. Have I? I don't know. I don't know. The first time I feel immoral about him being here in my bed, which is ironic since we're officially engaged now. Be worse when we're home and I'm sleeping alone again. No. Peter, no. No. It's devastating. That's right, we're almost home. The agenda for District 12 includes a dinner at Mayor Alice's house tonight and a Victor rally in the square during the Harvest Festival tomorrow. This is also how the games and the victory tour works. I'm going to highlight it. Oh, hang on. We always celebrate the Harvest Festival on the final day of the victory tour. But usually it means a meal at home or with a few friends if you can afford it. This year it will be a public affair since the capital will be throwing it. Everyone in the whole district will have full bellies. It's a whole lot of exposition in particular, actually. Most of our prepping will take place at the mayor's house since we're back to being covered in furs for outdoor appearances. We're only at the train station briefly to start on the wave as we pile into our car. We don't even get to see our families until dinner tonight. I'm glad it will be at the mayor's house instead of at the Justice Building where the memorial for my father was held, where they took me after the ripping for those wretched goodbyes to my family. The Justice Building is too full of sadness. I like Mayor Undersea's house, especially now that his daughter Madge and I are friends. We're friends the whole time, Katniss. Clueless as always. We always were in a way. It's become official when she came to say goodbye to me before I left for the games. Trust Candace trusted she would ever do. Jeez. So she gave me the Mockingjay pin for luck. After I got home, we started spending time together. It turned out Matt had plenty of hours to fill too. It was a little awkward at first because we didn't know what to do. Other girls our age I've heard them talking about boys or other girls or clothes. She's not like other girls. This is evidence potentially of Katniss not conforming to amount of normativity as well. Imagine I am gossipy and clothes bore me to tears, but after a few false starts, I realized she was dying to go into the woods, so I've taken her a couple of times and showed her how to shoot. Very different from She's trying to teach me the piano, but mostly I like to listen to her play. Sometimes we eat at each other's houses. Madge likes mine better. Her parents seem nice, but I don't think she sees a whole lot of them. Her father has District 12 to run, and her mother gets fierce headaches that force her to stay in bed for days. Merrily Donna. Merrily Donna, who never fully recovered from her sister's death, Maisley's death. From Hamich's games. Oops. Maybe you should take her to the Capitol, I said during one of them. We weren't playing the piano that day because even 2 floors away, the sound caused her mother pain. They can fix her up by that. Yes, but you don't go to the Capitol unless they invite you. Matt, I said Matt unhappily. Even the mayor's privileges are limited. Definitely. Okay. They're still districted animals, which is why they're not able to go to the Capitol. When we reach the mayor's house, I only have time to give Madge a quick hug before Effie hustles me off to the 3rd floor to get ready. After I've been prepped and dressed in a full-length silver gown, I've still got an hour to kill before the dinner, so I slip off to find her. Madge's bedroom is on the second floor along with several guest rooms and her father's study. How big is his house? Several guest rooms. I stick my head in the study to say hello to the mirror, but it's empty. The television's droning on, and I stop to watch shots of Peter and me at the Capitol party last night, dancing, eating, kissing. This will be playing in every household in Pan right now. The audience must be sick to death of the star-crossed lovers from District 12. I know I am. Leaving the room when a beeping noise captures my attention and I turn back to see the screen of the television goes black. And the words "Update on District 8" start flashing. I instinctively know this is not for my eyes, but something intended only for the mayor. I should go, quickly. Instead, I find myself stepping closer to the television. An announcer I've never seen before appears. It's a woman with graying hair and a hoarse, authoritative voice. I did not say that word properly. Anyway, she warns that conditions are worsening and a level 3 alert has been called. Level 3 alert? Additional forces are being sent to District 8 and all textile production has ceased. District 8, there are two characters, Bonnie and Twill, specifically that are from this district, who show up outside of District 12. Just writing down, is this when Bonnie and Twill escaped? And I smudged the words again. Great. I cut away from the woman to the main square in District 8. I recognize it because I was there only last week. There are still banners with my face waving from the rooftops. Below them, there's a mob scene. The square's packed with screaming people, their faces hidden with rags and homemade masks. Throwing bricks, buildings burn, peacekeepers shoot into the crowd, killing at random. Pretty sure this is when they escape. And I think Katniss mentions it later. I've never seen anything like it, but I can only be witnessing one thing. This is what President Snow calls an uprising. Like this line. So suspenseful. Love the ending to this chapter. Perfect cliffhanger. And then we're on to chapter 7. So that is it for today's live stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's live stream. We've gone through quite a bit of the novel so far. It's actually going quite well. Next stream we're going to be doing chapters 7 and 8, which will be on Thursday because I stream every Tuesday and Thursday at the moment on Annotating the Hunger Games series. Eventually we'll get to Mockingjay and it'll be great, and then we'll do the 2 prequels as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this stream. I enjoy annotating this as well. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe because I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers at the moment. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next stream. Bye.